this is going to be a recap video of my Dragon's Exalted pre-release. Typically I go to 2 or 3 pre-releases per set, but there's been a few changes for this set go round, or this month, and I'm only going to be able, I think, to make it to just this one. I was hoping to go to another one this weekend that I thought was on Saturday, but turns out it's on Sunday, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. Lots of pet sitting this month and lots of other stuff going on. So just gonna be the one pre-release. Good thing is I'm going to be making way more trades in order to finish up my collection for this set. Bad thing is that kind of the same thing, I have to make more trades. That's good for everyone out there who wants to trade with me because that means a bigger wants list, but of course bad for me because it's more time and effort and all that stuff than just trading in person. So here is, it's not quite the complete deck, but it's a rough deck of what I ran at the pre-release. I got first place, which is pretty cool. You don't get anything for getting first place though. Pokemon actually is no longer allowed to give out prizes for first place, and that is because they had a lot of issues with people cheating to get first place. You know, they'd add in cards to their deck that they got at previous pre-releases, they'd trade with friends, so that one person would have a really, really good deck, they'd win, and then they'd get, you know, the extra packs, the box, the tins, whatever they were giving away, and then they'd split it with their buddies. So no longer allowed to get anything for first. If you finish the tournament, you get an extra 2 packs, but it's fun and kind of cool. So I did pull this one EX Giratina, which is probably the least playable EX of all the EXs in Dragon's Exalted, but it was still fun in a pre-release. I was able to start with it once. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the psychic energy to be able to use it and had to pretty much burn all the energy I had attached to it to retreat back to something else. Emolga, this is an amazing card. This is what you're going to see a lot of decks running in, or running, because we're losing Pokemon Collector and Dual Ball. Call for Family lets you search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. So this is going to be a big card to help get Pokemon out, at least until we get something other, like something else like a trainer supporter that is a little has a faster search engine to it. This Pokemon, Braviary, is actually what won me, I think, 2 of my games. Fury Attack does 50 times the number of heads that you flip, and you get to flip 3 coins, so you're doing anywhere from 0 to 150 damage on this one attack. It doesn't really seem that great because of the flippiness, and I will say there were, I think I hit one, most of the time I'd only hit 1 heads. Once I think I hit 2 heads, and I think once I hit all tails. However, because of this fighting resistance, that's really what kind of kept it in there. There weren't too many lightning Pokemon around, and what helps you search it out is Rufflet's Chirp. You get to search for 2 Pokemon with fighting resistance, which is Rufflet and Braviary in this deck. Put them in your hand, so pretty much if you can get a Rufflet out and you have a turn where you know Rufflet's not going to be knocked out, you use Braviary. You can also use Rescue Scarf, which I have in the deck, and I'll go over in a bit. I pulled a 1/1/1 Garchomp line. It is the bad Garchomp, it's not the really good Garchomp, but I was still able to get it up a couple of games and was able to use it and, you know, do some significant damage with it. Being weak only to dragons with, you know, only a handful of dragons being released in the set really made it a great Pokemon for a pre-release. Oh, same thing with the Giratina EX. It is a dragon type, so it's only weak to other dragons, and yeah, it's kind of hard to, for some of, well, obviously a Garchomp would be a great counter to this Giratina, but trying to get a Garchomp out in a pre-release deck when we have no supporters and really no trainers that search for anything is pretty difficult. Now here's where my deck changed up a little bit because I did trade away some of the cards in it. I had a second Nincada, a second Ninjask, and a Shedinja, so I'm sorry I can't show you what this Shedinja looks like. Well, actually, you can see it there in the background. That's what it looks like. Anyways, what Shedinja does, well actually I'll go with what Ninjask does first. Night Slash is pretty cool, 60 and you can switch, but Cast Off Shell is what's really cool. When you evolve Ninjask into Shedinja, you can search your deck for Shedinja and put it on your bench, and it pretty much, without like having to evolve it or anything. Now what Shedinja does, its attack really isn't that great. Curse Drop just does, I think you put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. However, its ability is what's excellent. When it's knocked out, and I think Shedinja has like 60 HP or something like that, When it's knocked out, your opponent doesn't take a prize card. So I only got to use it once. In fact, I only got to use the Ninjask once because it always seemed like I had the Ninjask and Shedinja in my hand, and if it's the Shedinja's in your hand, then the ability doesn't matter. Now, Dig, however, what I was saying before was I always happen to have the Ninjask and Shedinja in hand, but I had a hard time drawing into the Ninkata. However, the one game where I could not draw into Ninjask or Shedinja, I was able to draw into some Ninkata, and this Dig did help me out. Does 10 damage and prevents all effects of attacks, which is pretty cool. Cascoon is also a pretty cool Pokemon for a pre-release. Tangle Drag, you get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with the defending, so pretty much a catcher. There's lots of stuff like Cascoon, for instance, that has a high retreat cost, so it's a great way to stall things while you get things built up. I did use Cascoon to take out a few bench Pokemon, while I was able to build up my bench enough to be able to take out his EX, which I knew was going to be the really difficult one to take out. So Wurmple's pretty cool, Sleep Poison. I was able to use that and flip heads for some poison effects. I don't really know how often I was able to use this one. The Paralysis. I did use a game a lot with Paralysis. So yeah, it does 40, and then if you flip heads, it does another 20 more, and opponent's paralyzed. So I do remember my last game, which I did lose my last game, but the resistance was still enough because I had won all my other ones and was playing down to put me in first place. So I was able to stay in the game quite a while longer with Throw with this Paralysis and made it come down to the last prize, but so decent Pokemon. And I put Durant in. Now, this isn't the hated Durant that everyone, hates before. Pull out is pretty cool. You put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. So, for example, I used this in one game when, I only have a 1/1/1 Gibble, Gabite, Garchomp line, and I had the Gabite and Garchomp, I think, in hand, but my Gibble had already been knocked out, so I went ahead and used Durant to pull out the Gibble, put him back on my deck so I could draw into him next turn, and start building him up. So here's the only 4 trainers I pulled, and I played them all. Giant Cape adds 20 HP to your to the Pokemon that it's attached to. Pretty cool. I use that. Tool Scraper, whatever it is, Scraper I think it is. You get to choose up to 2 Pokemon tools in play, yours and your opponent's, and get to discard them. This card is gonna be fairly big come battle roads and cities and stuff. Getting rid of Eviolites and if we see Giant Capes around, possibly that. But I think Eviolite is probably gonna be the biggest one that you're gonna see Tool Scraper being used on. So pulled 2 of those, so I'm pretty happy about that. And Rescue Scarf. It pretty much acts as rescue energy, but doesn't use your energy attachment for the turn. And when this when the Pokemon is knocked out, this is attached to it. You get to put that Pokemon back into your hand. You just discard all the cards attached to the Pokemon, so you don't get your energy back or anything like that. My energy line, I had was it 18 energy? Yeah, I had 18 energy, 4 different types because you see I had Fighting, Grass, which, well, Ninjask is the only one that used Grass, but what really killed it was these 2. Oh, I also had one of the Blend Energies, which I traded away, I think, or maybe it's a reverse, so it's in my collection binder, so sorry about that. I did pull one Blend Energy that, there was one that had metal in it. I forget which one that is, but anyways, this is why I had to run 4 energy types, because Giratina needs Grass and Psychic, Garchomp needs Water and Fighting. How completely opposite can you be? So I ran 4 energy types. I ran 4 of each energy, and I think for Grass and Water, no, I think Grass and Fighting maybe I ran 1 more. So it's like a 5-5-4-4, I think, to make my 18 energies. So now that you see my pre-release deck and gotten a little bit of a close-up look at some of the cards and kind of how they work together, probably you won't be seeing many of these in Battle Roads. You might be seeing, maybe not Ninjask, probably people will just play the Shedinja, but Ninjask is an excellent way to get it out. And yeah, so now let's take a look at the cards that I have in my collection so far, and then I'll have a wants list on my website, TheCatsMeowth.com, with all the ones that I'm still looking for. Sorry, I found one more card that was in my deck that, remember I mentioned at one point I knew that I was hanging in on a game, the one game that I did lose because of Throw, because of his paralysis, but I for some reason couldn't remember that I actually used Throw, so I was wrong. It wasn't Throw's paralysis that I was using, it was Maractus's paralysis. And Stun Needle does 20 and then flip heads if, and that causes paralysis. That's what kept me in the game. What also kept me in the game, and what's more important, is Reinforced Needle. It does 40 plus another 40 if you have a tool attached to it. So it took me a while to actually draw into, I think it was the giant cape that I was able to, giant cape, giant cloak, whatever it is, to attach to it to be able to do the extra damage. But once I did, it was pretty cool. So sorry for the little extra tidbit there, but this was a pretty cool card and I thought I would share it. So here's what my set looks like so far. It's really incomplete, and until I open up my booster box, which won't be until after the release date, I do have it pre-ordered, and it typically gets here the weekend after the release of the set. But until that comes in and I open that up, I'm only going to be trading for EXs, and that's because typically I pull most of the rares that I need and most of the holos that I need in that booster box, and so I'd rather not trade for a bunch of those and get duplicates. Same thing with the commons and uncommons. This is just to kind of show about how much I got out of just one pre-release. Now, I didn't trade for any commons, rares. Actually, the only thing I traded for, I think, were reverses. And I got a pretty good number of those. I have almost 30 reverses from the set so far, so that's not too bad considering it was just like a few minutes of trading after the pre-release. So, yeah, missing quite a few cards. Whale Lord is my only holo right now. But there's several non-holo rares that are in here, like that Gothitelle is rare. Well, Probopass I think is a rare, Garchomp is a rare. There's my only EX pull, the beautiful Giratina. And then we have some of the trainers. Again, probably, well, I'm gonna probably hold off on trading for trainers until I get my box in. I may be willing to trade for more Tool Scraper. I think Tool Scraper is probably the biggest one, but if I pull enough of those in my box, I really won't need anything. Here is the shiny Reuniclus that I was able to trade for after the pre-release, so I was really excited to get a hold of this. The guy that pulled it was actually sitting across from me when we were opening up our initial 6-packs, and he asked me to help build his deck because it was his first pre-release. And so I was going through some of the cards after he had pretty much built his deck, trying to see if we could find something, but he had 2 spots left in the deck. And I'm just flipping through, and I see this, and I was like, whoa, you pulled the shiny Reuniclus. And, yeah, told him it was really awesome, and I was a collector and was interested in it, and after the pre-release, traded him a bunch of stuff for it. So, on to the reverses, which, like I said, I have about 30 of them, but the pages are still pretty empty. Now, I will be putting up, reverse ones as well on my wants list, TheCatsMeowth.com, and I don't know, I may start trading for them before I actually open my box. Well, yeah, I'll probably only trade for Dragon's Exalted reverses if it's a bulk lot from my wants list, because if I'm only trading for 1 or 2, chances are I'm probably going to pull those from the packs in my booster box, and then that'll be kind of you know, I wasted a stamp on a trade pretty much. But as you can see, there's plenty of reverses that I need, so hopefully I'll be able to work out some good trades. And again, probably only looking for bulk trades until I get my booster box in. And once I get that in and kind of have things narrowed down, then I'll start working on more of the single trades. So, thanks everyone for watching, and like I said, I'm probably not going to be going to another pre-release this weekend. However, my league is having a booster draft with the new set on Sunday, so hopefully maybe Monday or so, maybe Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to have another video kind of showing an updated collection, and hopefully that'll hold you guys off in the anticipation for my booster box opening, which I'm hoping to get the box in and be able to do it next weekend. So again, thanks for watching.